Hello, I'm State Representative Michael Lemelin from Chelsea, and I'm here with Senator Bruce Bickford. We're here to seek information about a complaint we have on people getting their driver's licenses and CDLs. We have a person who worked for the state, John, who I'll have Bruce introduce.
Yeah, John Moran, you and I talked. You sent me a letter, very detailed about things that have happened um, as an examiner with the Department of Motor Vehicle. Tell me what the normal pass rate is for adults.
Okay, we're talking Class C permits here, and
Right.
only not your commercial
Class C,
permits.
right.
Class C permits, which is the permit that everybody gets to drive a standard truck or car with. The pass rate, generally speaking, statewide is about 65% or so. Fail rate of about 35% statewide on those Class C permit tests.
Yeah, and with these cheaters that come in, what's the pass rate with the people they represent?
With the interpreters you see all the time between basically Kennebunk, Scarborough, Portland, and Lewiston, you see the same 6, 7, 8 interpreters come in all the time. Their pass rate is 100%.
Wow.
And you see these guys several hundred times in a year's time.
So I'm on the Government Oversight Committee, and this was brought to my attention by Senator Bickford, and I have huge concerns here. Now, my question to you, John, is what countries are we talking about? I hear it's not Somalis. So what countries are coming forward?
Primarily the cheating during my 10.5 years there, which was between 2013 and 2024, was primarily from people from Congo and Angola. And a lot of Iraqis, although that was a few years back. They're not coming into the country anymore like they were 7, 8, 9, 10 years ago.
Okay, and these are people, adults over 18, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And can you explain briefly how these people are cheating?
Well, every examiner I've worked with, and that's quite a few, believes that these people are cheating in great numbers. They're people who don't speak English. Again, they're primarily from Congo, Angola, maybe some smaller countries near there, such as Burundi and Rwanda. They come in with an interpreter, and again, it's always the same 6 or 7 or 8 interpreters you see, sometimes multiple times a day, hour after hour after hour, day after day. These applicants for the permit, they know who to call in the community. They call one of these several interpreters who come in and interpret the test for them. And there's no doubt in my mind and most other examiners' minds that the interpreters are actually the one taking the test. They're providing the answers to the applicants. And that's how that's how you have a 100% pass rate.
So there's no way for you to know if the interpreter is giving out the answers or whether or not they're just interpreting.
We know they're cheating. Proving it is another point. I've caught about 8 cheaters, less sophisticated than the people we're talking about here. I've caught them cheating in a very simple manner, such as saying just A or B or C out loud on a multiple choice test, or pointing to the correct answer. But the people I'm talking about here today, these 7 or so, are more sophisticated than that. And you have to be able to understand what they're saying to actually catch them.
Did you report this activity?
Many times.
And what was the result of that?
My bosses in Augusta, which would be the Secretary of State, and their deputy, who runs motor vehicles day to day, would tell us that they're taking the matter seriously, that they're looking into it, but nothing ever happened. There were no proactive measures whatsoever to try to fix this.
How many languages did you have available to them to take the test without an interpreter?
We have touch screens in our branch offices, and there are 5 languages there which they can use: English, Somali, French, Arabic.
So did when they took the test, they said, we don't speak any of those languages?
And Spanish, I'm sorry, Spanish was included.
Is that unusual?
They would say they didn't speak those languages, although pretty much everybody from Congo speaks French. They would come in and say they didn't speak the language provided. And we had an examiner from Burundi who spoke fluent French, which is right next to Congo, and he told us these people are all lying. If they say they don't speak French, they're lying. And then we had an email from Augusta come down about 8 years or so ago that said even if the applicant speaks one of the provided languages and they want an interpreter in, let them in, no questions asked.
Okay. Were you ever reprimanded for coming forward?
Yes. I'm sorry. Yes, I was. And I have to say that during my time at motor vehicles, it was much more stressful giving permit tests than it was road tests, where I could have been hurt and almost was hurt many times because of the corruption in the room. I had issued up to 15 or so of these dirty permits a day, especially in Portland. And that's just my terminology, calling these permits a dirty permit because they were cheated. The applicant cheated with the interpreter to get this. So that's just the terminology I use.
Okay. Do the interpreters have to file any forms to be allowed to be an interpreter in the room?
When they come in with the applicant, they have to provide us, and I'm talking about the interpreter now, they have to provide us an ID. Normally it's their license or a passport. And then they fill out this form called the MVE 81. We examiners refer to it as the 81, an oral attestation form. The interpreter would put their name on that, address, date of birth, and sign it. And the form basically stated that if I provide answers, instead of just reading what's on the screen, I'm committing a crime. And that crime would be unsworn falsification.
Okay, thank you. And what did you do to try to fix this issue over time? What was your process? Because I know you're trying to be part of that pride, the integrity part. And integrity is when you see an issue to attempt to fix it. So could you give some details on how you attempted to try to fix something that you felt was not, it didn't pass the sniff test?
It started with emails to the chief examiner, who's in charge of the examiners and the whole exam unit, where all the paperwork goes through in Augusta. Emails to him detailing what I saw. And he would basically email me back telling me we're taking this seriously, we're looking into it, although no examiner ever believed that. I then had our labor union bring it up at 3 different labor management meetings. Nothing happened there. And when they cheat, they're committing a crime based on that form I just talked about. We have our own detective division at BMV. I did 73 referrals to them. Every time one of these certain examiners would cheat, I did a referral to our detectives for them to investigate it and possibly prosecute it. I think it was 73 referrals when my boss came in one day and told me I had been ordered to stop sending these referrals to detectives. He said, this comes from across the river. We took across the river to mean from the secretary's office. The main office is on the other side of the Kennebunk, so the other side of the river would be the Secretary of State's office. I sent more emails, and then I finally used that 81. And let me just back up just a second here. We've caught a few cheaters cheating over the years. We always just kicked them out of the room. It was easier than writing a report to our detectives. We kicked them out, we banned them. These more sophisticated ones, we couldn't catch. At this point, I didn't know what to do. It was 2021. I caught an interpreter giving the answers to his wife. She happened to be the applicant. A new question would pop up on the screen, and this went on about 8 times in a row, 8 questions in a row. He would just say A or B or C. He was reading nothing on the screen to her. She would click on the letter provided, and then after about 8 of these questions, it was obvious they were cheating. I canceled the test. I told her how to reschedule her test and told him, you cannot come back in the room. I told him I was writing a report to our detectives and that he might be prosecuted. I wrote that report, sent it to our detectives, and copied in my boss, Larry Bovin, the chief examiner. And shortly after that, I got a write-up from the secretary's office or from HR, and the charge was exceeding your authority.
Did you send these emails through the state email system?
Yes.
Okay, so that's a perfect record. Thank you. Okay, can you tell me what the acronym PRIDE stands for?
Well, I can't remember all the letters. The I is for integrity.
Which you're saying there's none of here.
The Bureau of Motor Vehicles preaches integrity overall. They don't live it. They preach the integrity of the test. They don't live it. And they preach public safety. They don't live it. And I'm saying that as a former member of a Portland Police Department for 25 years. I've lived public safety. This organization here in Augusta does not live public safety.
Are there other examiners that feel exactly the same way you do, and are any of them active at the moment?
Almost every examiner I've worked with feels as I do here that they're cheating on a large scale, and one of them still works there. He does not want to come forward because he is afraid of retaliation.
Which makes sense.
Yes, especially after seeing what they did to me after I came forward.
So, do you feel that this has made Maine roads more dangerous to the people of Maine?
Yes, going back to the public safety issue, which I mentioned just a minute ago, these people have not, and I'm talking about the applicants who received the permits, they have not read the book. They didn't have to. They knew the interpreter would provide an assured permit for a fee. Everybody knows that they're paying money for the answers and for the permit, the money going to the interpreter. I've given driving tests to many of these people over the years, and more than people from Maine who grew up here, I ended up completely on the wrong side of the road. They won't turn left at a green light with no oncoming traffic, arguing that they need an arrow, coming to a dead stop at crosswalks over and over.
Well, thank you for coming in and presenting your case to us. I am going to look into this further at the Government Oversight Committee, and I thank Senator Bickford for coming forward and bringing this to my attention. I think there's a lot to look for here. I think at best it should be investigated to see if your allegations are correct. One way I think would work is to bring in our own interpreters at an examination. When these interpreters that you are alleging are cheating, if we brought in our own interpreters and found out whether or not they are giving the answers or if this is shady or not, I think this is pretty easy to prove. So I thank you very much. And I know the people of Maine thank you, because we've had a lot of issues on the roads and all throughout the country. It's not just Maine. So I really appreciate it. Thank you.